The story opens in the West African kingdom of Dahomey in the year 1823, where the morning sun casts long shadows across the red earth of the royal palace. The camera sweeps over the bustling courtyard, where warriors train with spears and shields. Their movements precise and deadly. Among them stands General Naniska, a formidable woman whose scarred face tells stories of countless. Her presence commands respect from every soldier in sight as she observes the training with keen eyes that miss nothing. Naniska moves through the ranks of female warriors known as the Agoji, correcting stances and offering words of encouragement. These women are the elite fighting force of Dahomey, sworn to protect the kingdom and its people with their lives. Their dedication is absolute, their loyalty unwavering. The general watches as young recruits struggle with heavy weapons, remembering her own early days of training, when every muscle ached and every movement felt foreign. The palace walls echo with the sounds of combat as wooden weapons clash against shields made of animal hide. Sweat glistens on dark skin as the warriors push themselves to their limits under the scorching African sun. Naniska calls for a halt to the training session, her voice carrying the authority of decades spent in service to the crown. She addresses the gathered warriors about the importance of discipline and the sacred duty they have sworn to uphold. In the royal chambers, King Gezo sits upon his ornate throne, contemplating the challenges facing his kingdom. The walls are adorned with intricate carvings that tell the history of Dahomey, depicting great victories and fallen heroes. Advisors whisper in his ear about threats from neighboring tribes and the growing influence of European slave traders along the coast. The king's expression remains stoic as he weighs his options, knowing that every decision could mean life or death for his people. General Naniska enters the throne room with measured steps, her warrior's posture never wavering, even in the presence of royalty. She kneels before the king and reports on the readiness of the Agoji forces. Her words are carefully chosen, each one carrying the weight of responsibility she feels for the women under her command. The king listens intently, his trust in Naniska evident in the way he leans forward to catch every detail of her assessment. The conversation turns to the matter of new recruits, and the king expresses his concern about finding worthy candidates to join the Agoji rank. Naniska assures him that she has been observing potential warriors throughout the kingdom, looking for young women with the strength and determination necessary to serve. The general speaks of one particular girl who has caught her attention, a spirited youth named Nawi, who possesses remarkable fighting instincts despite her lack of formal training. As if summoned by their conversation, commotion erupts in the courtyard below. Through the palace windows, they can see a young woman engaged in heated argument with palace guards. This is Nawi, her defiant stance and flashing eyes immediately marking her as someone who refuses to be easily subdued. The guards attempt to restrain her, but she moves with surprising agility, dodging their grasps and landing a solid blow to one man's stomach before being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Naniska watches this display with growing interest, recognizing the raw potential that burns within the young woman. The general descends to the courtyard with swift strides, her arrival causing the guards to step back respectfully. She approaches Nawi, who stands breathing heavily but unrepentant, chin raised in challenge despite her disadvantaged position. The two women regard each other in silence for a long moment, each taking the measure of the other. The general speaks to Nawi in measured tones, asking what brings her to the palace in such an agitated state. The young woman's response is passionate and direct, explaining that she refuses to be married off to a man she does not respect, a man who treats women as property to be owned rather than individuals with their own worth. Her words resonate with something deep within Naniska's memory, stirring emotions the general has long kept buried beneath layers of duty and discipline. King Gezo appears at the palace entrance, drawn by the disturbance. His gaze falls upon Nawi with curiosity rather than anger, intrigued by this young woman who dares to defy convention in his very courtyard. The king approaches slowly, his royal robes rustling softly against the ground as he moves. When he speaks, his voice carries both authority and genuine interest in understanding the situation that has unfolded before him. Nawi straightens even further upon seeing the king, if such a thing were possible. She shows proper respect while maintaining her defiant spirit, bowing as protocol demands but keeping her eyes fixed firmly on the royal face. The king questions her about her circumstances, learning that she comes from a family that wishes to force her into an unwanted marriage. Her father seeks to use her as a bargaining chip to strengthen business relationships, treating her desires as irrelevant to the transaction. The story she tells is one familiar to many women in the kingdom, yet her response to these circumstances sets her apart from others who might simply accept their fate. Nawi speaks of her dreams of serving a greater purpose, of using her strength to protect rather than merely to submit. Her words echo the very principles upon which the Agoji was founded, principles that have guided Nanissa for most of her adult life. General Naniska steps forward and addresses the king directly, requesting permission to evaluate Nawi as a potential recruit for the Agoji. The king considers this proposal carefully, his eyes moving between the seasoned general and the young woman whose destiny hangs in the balance. After what feels like an eternity of silence, he grants his permission for the evaluation to proceed. The training grounds become a stage for Nawi's assessment, as Naniska puts her through a series of physical and mental challenges. The young woman attacks each task with fierce determination, her movements raw but instinctively correct. She stumbles and falls more than once, but each time she rises again with renewed resolve, dirt and sweat mixing on her skin as she pushes herself beyond what she thought possible. Other Agoji warriors gather to observe this unusual recruitment, their expressions ranging from skeptical to curious. These women have all earned their places through years of grueling preparation and countless battles, and they watch to see if this newcomer possesses the qualities necessary to join their sacred sisterhood. Some whisper among themselves about the unconventional nature of Nawi's arrival, while others nod approvingly at her refusal to surrender, despite obvious exhaustion. Izogi, one of the most skilled warriors in the Agoji, steps forward to participate in Nawi's evaluation. Her reputation as a fighter is legendary throughout Dahomey, her spear work precise and deadly, her tactical mind sharp as any blade. She circles Nawi like a predator evaluating prey, looking for weaknesses and strengths with equal intensity. When she finally engages, the clash is brief but illuminating, revealing both Nawi's potential and her current limitations. The evaluation continues as the sun reaches its zenith, casting short shadows across the training ground. Nawi faces challenge after challenge, some physical, others testing her mental fortitude and capacity for strategic thinking. She fails as often as she succeeds, but her failures teach her lessons that she absorbs with remarkable speed. Naniska observes every moment, every reaction, building a comprehensive understanding of what this young woman might become with proper guidance. She hands Nawi a practice spear and positions herself as an opponent, despite the vast difference in their skill levels. The gathered warriors fall silent, understanding the significance of this moment. The bout is brief but intense, Naniska's superior skill evident in every movement while Nawi's raw talent shines through her inexperience. The general presses her attack with measured force, testing reactions and instincts rather than seeking to overwhelm her opponent. Nawi responds with courage and creativity, finding solutions to problems she has never faced before, adapting to each new challenge. When the test concludes, both women are breathing hard, though for very different reasons. Naniska feels the satisfaction of discovering a diamond in the rough, while Nawi experiences the exhilaration of proving herself worthy of consideration. The general addresses the assembled warriors, announcing her decision to accept Nawi into the Agoji training program, subject to the king's final approval. King Gizo, who has observed the entire evaluation from the palace balcony, descends to the courtyard to deliver his verdict. His approach is accompanied by the soft rustle of royal garments and the measured steps of absolute authority. When he speaks, his words carry the weight of divine mandate, for in Dahomey, the king serves as the earthly representative of the ancestors. The royal approval comes with conditions and warnings about the challenges that lie ahead. The king explains to Nawi that joining the Agoji means abandoning her previous life completely, including any thoughts of marriage or motherhood. She must be prepared to sacrifice everything for the kingdom, to place duty above personal desire in all circumstances. These words are spoken not as threats but as solemn promises of what her new life will demand. Nawi accepts these terms without hesitation, her voice steady and clear, as she swears the oath of loyalty that binds all Agoji warriors to their sacred duty. The ceremony is simple but profound, witnessed by the king, the general, and the assembled warriors, who will become her sisters-in-law. Ancient words are spoken, connecting her to generations of women who have served Dahomey with honor and distinction. The training begins immediately, with no time allowed for second thoughts or gradual adjustment. Nawi is thrust into a world where every moment demands perfection, where weakness is not tolerated, and where failure can mean death not just for herself, but for her sisters and her kingdom. The other recruits who train alongside her have been preparing for months or even years, giving them significant advantages in both skill and conditioning. Days blur into weeks as Nawi struggles to match the pace set by her more experienced companions. Her body aches constantly from the physical demands placed upon it, muscles she never knew existed screaming in protest as she pushes herself through increasingly difficult exercises. The wooden practice weapons feel like lead in her hands, and the heavy shields strain her arms and shoulders beyond their limits. Sleep becomes a precious commodity, as training extends from dawn until well past sunset. Nawi collapses onto her simple sleeping mat each night, too exhausted for dreams but too excited by her progress to rest peacefully. Her hands develop calluses and blisters that harden into the tough skin of a warrior, while her reflexes sharpen with each passing day of intensive practice. Izoki becomes an important figure in Nawi's development, alternately encouraging and challenging her with a mixture of tough love and genuine concern for her progress. The veteran warrior recognizes something special in the newcomer, but also understands that potential means nothing without the discipline and dedication necessary to realize it. She pushes Nawi harder than the others, demanding excellence because she believes it can be achieved. The relationship between mentor and student deepens as they spend countless hours together on the training ground. Izoki shares techniques and strategies learned through years of combat experience, while Nawi brings fresh perspectives and creative solutions to tactical problems. Their sparring sessions become legendary among the other warriors, showcasing both the wisdom of experience and the innovation of youth. General Neniska observes this developing partnership with satisfaction, recognizing the value of peer mentorship in creating strong warriors. She remembers her own early days in the Agoji, when older warriors took her under their wings and shaped her into the leader she eventually became. The cycle continues with each new generation, ensuring that knowledge and traditions pass down through the ranks unbroken. The first major test of Nawi's progress comes during a training exercise designed to simulate real combat conditions. The recruits are divided into opposing forces and given objectives that can only be achieved through teamwork, strategy, and individual excellence. The exercise unfolds across the palace grounds and surrounding countryside, with warriors moving through forests, across rivers, and over rocky terrain that challenges every aspect of their training. Weapons clash, strategies are tested, and alliances form and dissolve as the mock battle ebbs and flows. Nawi leads her team with growing confidence, her decisions becoming more. When the exercise concludes, both sides have learned valuable lessons about their strengths and weaknesses. Neniska addresses the assembled warriors, praising their efforts while identifying areas for improvement. Her evaluation of Nawi's performance is measured but positive, acknowledging progress while emphasizing the work that remains to be done. The general's words carry special weight because they come from someone who has earned the right to judge through decades of service. Training intensifies as the recruits advance through different phases of their development. Weapons practice becomes more sophisticated, incorporating techniques passed down through generations of Agoji warriors. Nawi learns to wield spears with deadly precision, to use shields both defensively and as weapons in their own right, and to fight with the curved swords that are the traditional weapons of Dahomey's elite forces. The physical conditioning continues relentlessly, building not just strength and endurance but the mental toughness necessary to function under extreme stress. Warriors must be able to march for days without rest, to fight effectively while injured or exhausted, and to maintain tactical awareness even when overwhelmed by the chaos of battle. These qualities are developed through carefully designed exercises that push each woman to her absolute limits. Medical training forms another crucial component of their education, as Agoji warriors must be able to treat their own wounds, and those of their sisters when professional healers are not available. Nawi learns to identify useful plants and herbs, to stitch wounds closed with needle and thread, and to set broken bones using materials found in the field. These skills often mean the difference between life and death in the aftermath of battle. Stealth and reconnaissance techniques receive equal attention, for the Agoji serve not just as frontline fighters, but as the kingdom's primary intelligence-gathering force. Warriors learn to move silently through different types of terrain, to observe enemy positions without being detected, and to gather information that can provide crucial advantages in planning military operations. Nawi excels in these areas, her natural agility and sharp mind making her particularly effective at scouting missions. The cultural and spiritual aspects of being an Agoji warrior are woven throughout every element of training. The women learn the history of their sisterhood, the stories of legendary warriors who came before them, and the sacred obligations that bind them to their kingdom and their people. They participate in ceremonies that connect them to the ancestors and the spirits that guide and protect Dahomey in times of both peace and war. As Nawi's skills develop, she begins to attract attention beyond the training grounds. Other members of the royal court take notice of this promising young warrior, some viewing her rise with approval, while others regard it with suspicion or jealousy. The politics of the palace are complex and dangerous, with alliances and rivalries that can affect everything from military assignments to access to the king himself. One such figure is Malik, a Portuguese slave trader who has gained significant influence at court through his promises of wealth and modern weapons. His presence represents the growing pressure from European interests seeking to expand their control over West African trade routes. Malik views the Agoji with a mixture of admiration and concern, recognizing their military effectiveness while understanding that they represent an obstacle to his own ambitions. The slave trader's relationship with King Gizo is complex and fraught with tension. While the king values the economic benefits that trade with Europeans can provide, he also recognizes the threat that foreign influence poses to Dahomey's independence and traditional way of life. This tension plays out in court politics and military strategy, affecting decisions about everything from trade agreements to military campaigns. General Naniska views Malik and his ilk with deep suspicion and barely concealed hostility. Her experiences have taught her that European promises of partnership inevitably lead to domination and exploitation. She advocates for maintaining Dahomey's independence through military strength rather than economic dependence on foreign powers. This puts her at odds with some court advisors who favor accommodation with European interests. The philosophical differences between these approaches to foreign relations create an undercurrent of tension that affects military plans. Naniska must navigate these political waters carefully while maintaining her focus on preparing the Agoji for whatever challenges lie ahead. Her position as general gives her significant influence, but she must always be mindful of the broader political context in which her forces operate. As Nawi's training progresses, she becomes increasingly aware of these larger issues affecting her adopted homeland. Her natural curiosity and intelligence drive her to ask questions about policy and strategy that go beyond the immediate concerns of warrior training. This intellectual engagement marks her as a potential future leader, someone who might one day help guide the Agoji through the complex challenges of a changing world. The relationship between student and mentor deepens as Naniska begins to share more of her knowledge and experience with Nawi. These conversations often take place in quiet moments between training sessions, when the general allows her normally stern demeanor to soften slightly. She speaks of battles fought and won, of friends lost and lessons learned, of the heavy burden that comes with leadership and the sacrifices required to maintain it. These intimate discussions reveal aspects of Naniska's character that few others ever see. Behind the iron discipline and unwavering dedication lies a woman who has paid a heavy personal price for her service to Dahomey. The scars on her body tell only part of the story. The emotional wounds run deeper and heal more slowly, if they heal at all. Yet she continues to serve because she believes in the cause and the people she protects. Naui absorbs these lessons with the intensity she brings to all aspects of her training. She begins to understand that being an Agoji warrior involves more than physical prowess or tactical skill. It requires moral courage, emotional strength, and an unwavering commitment to something greater than oneself. These qualities cannot be taught through exercises or drills. They must be developed through experience and reflection. The first real test of these developing qualities comes when the training group is assigned to accompany a diplomatic mission to a neighboring kingdom. The journey will take them through potentially hostile territory, where they may encounter bandits, wild animals, or enemy scouts. For Naui and her fellow trainees, this represents their first exposure to genuine danger since beginning their training. The diplomatic party consists of court officials, guards, and the Agoji escort led by Izogi. Their destination is the Kingdom of Oyo, a powerful neighbor with whom Dahomey maintains an uneasy relationship. The mission's success could mean continued peace and profitable trade, while failure might result in conflict that could threaten Dahomey's security and prosperity. The journey begins at dawn, with the expedition moving out through the palace gates under the watchful eyes of King Gezo and General Naniska. The warriors march in formation, their weapons and equipment carefully maintained, and their bearing proud despite the uncertainty that lies ahead. Naui feels a mixture of excitement and apprehension as she takes her first steps beyond the familiar confines of the training ground. The landscape through which they travel is both beautiful and dangerous, with dense forests that could conceal enemies and open plains that offer no protection from attack. The warriors maintain constant vigilance, their eyes scanning the horizon for signs of trouble, while their hands remain close to their weapons. The diplomatic officials, less accustomed to such precautions, gradually begin to appreciate. As they progress deeper into unfamiliar territory, the expedition encounters various challenges that test both their military skills and diplomatic finesse. River crossings require careful planning and execution, while negotiations with local tribal leaders demand cultural sensitivity and political awareness. Naui observes these interactions with keen interest, learning lessons that extend far beyond the martial skills. The first serious threat materializes when scouts report signs of a large bandit group operating in the area ahead. These criminals prey on travelers and trading caravans, using their knowledge of local terrain to ambush victims and escape with minimal risk to themselves. The diplomatic mission represents a particularly tempting target, with its valuable cargo and prestigious passengers promising rich rewards for successful raid. Izugi calls the Agoji warriors together to plan their response to this threat. The options include attempting to avoid the bandits entirely by taking a longer route, negotiating safe passage through payments or promises, or confronting the criminals directly to eliminate the danger they pose. Each approach carries its own risks and potential benefits, requiring careful consideration of multiple factors. The decision ultimately falls to the senior diplomat leading the mission, but Izogi's military assessment carries significant weight in the discussion. Naui participates in the planning session as a junior member of the force, but her questions and observations demonstrate the tactical thinking she has developed through her training. She suggests potential ambush sites where the bandits might strike and proposes countermeasures that could turn their own tactics against them. Her contributions earn approving nods from more experienced warriors and reinforce Izugi's growing confidence in her ability. The confrontation with the bandits unfolds in a series of skirmishes rather than a single decisive battle. The criminals attempt to use hit-and-run tactics, striking quickly and withdrawing before the Agoji can bring their superior training and discipline to bear. However, the warriors' preparation and coordination gradually turn the tide, forcing the bandits into increasingly desperate positions. Naui's first taste of real combat comes during one of these encounters, when a bandit archer targets her during a river crossing. The arrow passes close enough to her head that she can feel the wind of its passage. But her training takes over, and she responds instinctively. Her spear finds its mark with deadly accuracy, and she watches as her opponent falls lifeless into the muddy water. The moment marks a fundamental transition in Naui's development from trainee to warrior. The theoretical knowledge gained through months of preparation suddenly becomes visceral reality, accompanied by a complex mixture of triumph, relief, and unexpected sorrow for the life she has taken. Izogi notices her emotional response and later speaks with her privately about the psychological aspects of combat that no amount of training can fully prepare someone to face. The diplomatic mission ultimately succeeds in reaching its destination, though not without cost. Several members of the expedition suffer injuries during the various encounters with bandits, and the constant stress of travel through hostile territory takes a toll on both. However, the successful completion of the journey, despite these challenges, enhances the reputation of the Agoji and demonstrates the value of their protection. The Kingdom of Oyo receives the diplomatic party with appropriate ceremony, though underlying tensions are evident in every interaction. The rulers of Oyo view Dahomey with a mixture of respect and suspicion, recognizing their military strength while harboring concerns about their growing influence in regional affairs. These political undercurrents affect every aspect of the negotiations, requiring constant vigilance from the Agoji escorts. Naui observes the diplomatic proceedings with fascination, learning about the complex web of relationships that define interactions She begins to understand how military strength and diplomatic skill work together to protect national interests, and how the Agoji serve not just as warriors but as symbols of Dahomey's power and determination. These insights broaden her perspective on her role and responsibilities as a member of the kingdom's elite forces. The return journey provides additional opportunities to apply lessons learned during the outbound trip. The expedition moves more efficiently and with greater confidence, having proven their ability to handle the challenges of traveling through dangerous territory. The bandits they encountered earlier have been scattered or eliminated, making the route safer for future travelers and enhancing Dahomey's influence in the region. Upon returning to the capital, the diplomatic party reports to King Gizo on the success of their mission. The agreements reached with Oyo promise enhanced trade and cooperation while maintaining Dahomey's independence and territorial integrity. The king expresses his satisfaction with the results and specifically commends the Agoji for their role in ensuring the mission's success, despite the various challenges encountered. General Naniska conducts a thorough debriefing with all the warriors who participated in the expedition, analyzing their performance and identifying lessons that will improve future operations. She pays particular attention to Naui's development, recognizing the significant progress made during her first exposure to real-world conditions. The general's assessment is largely positive, though she emphasizes areas where continued improvement is necessary. The successful completion of the diplomatic mission marks an important milestone in Naui's training, but it also serves as a reminder of how much she still has to learn. The transition from trainee to full warrior requires mastery of countless skills and the development of judgment that can only come through experience. Each challenge overcome brings her closer to that goal, while revealing new areas where growth is needed. Training resumes with renewed intensity as the Agoji prepare for larger challenges on the horizon. Intelligence reports suggest that various threats are developing simultaneously, requiring the kingdom's military forces to maintain readiness for multiple contingencies. The prospect of widespread conflict adds urgency to the training program and emphasizes the importance of preparing every warrior to the highest possible standard. News arrives that slave raids have increased along Dahomey's borders, with well-armed groups targeting villages and smaller settlements. These raids represent more than simple criminal activity. They are part of a larger pattern of destabilization that threatens the kingdom's security and prosperity. The European demand for slaves has created a lucrative market that attracts increasing numbers of raiders willing to risk confrontation with Dahomey's military forces. King Gizo convenes his war council to address this growing threat, bringing together military commanders, court advisors, and intelligence specialists to develop a comprehensive response strategy. The discussions are intense and sometimes heated, as different factions advocate for various approaches ranging from diplomatic protest to direct military action. The king listens carefully to all viewpoints before making his decision about how to proceed. General Naniska argues forcefully for immediate military action to stop the raids and demonstrate Dahomey's strength to potential enemies. She contends that allowing such attacks to continue will only encourage more aggressive behavior, and ultimately threaten the kingdom's independence. Her position reflects both tactical considerations and deeper philosophical beliefs about the importance of projecting strength in international relations. The decision ultimately made by King Gizo authorizes a series of military operations designed to eliminate the raiding groups and secure the border region. The Agoji will play a central role in these campaigns, using their elite training and proven effectiveness to strike swift and decisive blows against the kingdom's enemies. The prospect of significant combat operations creates both excitement and apprehension among the warriors. Preparations for the campaign begin immediately, with intensive planning sessions focused on intelligence gathering, logistics, and tactical coordination. Maps are studied, supply lines established, and communication protocols developed to ensure that all elements of the operation work together smoothly. The complexity of coordinating multiple simultaneous actions across a wide geographical area demands careful attention to every detail. Naui participates in these preparations as part of her continuing education in the broader aspects of military service. She learns about intelligence analysis, supply management, and the coordination required to move large numbers of warriors across difficult terrain while maintaining operational security. These lessons complement her combat training by providing understanding of the support systems that make effective military action possible. The first phase of the campaign involves reconnaissance missions designed to locate enemy camps. Small teams of Agoji warriors move silently through border regions, gathering information while avoiding detection by hostile forces. These missions require extraordinary skill and courage, as discovery could mean death or capture for the scouts involved. Izagi leads one of these reconnaissance teams, with Naui included as part of her continuing training in advanced techniques. The mission takes them deep into territory controlled by one of the larger raiding groups, where they must observe enemy activities while remaining completely hidden. The skills developed during months of stealth training are put to the ultimate test under conditions where mistakes have lethal consequences. The intelligence gathered during this phase reveals that the raiding operations are more sophisticated and better organized than initially believed. The various groups appear to be coordinating their activities and sharing resources in ways that suggest outside support and guidance. This discovery has significant implications for the military response, as it indicates that the threat is more serious than a simple outbreak of banditry. Further investigation reveals connections between the raiding groups and European slave traders operating along. Weapons, supplies, and coordination are being provided in exchange for a steady flow of captives to feed the Atlantic slave trade. This foreign involvement transforms what might have been a local security problem into a matter of national sovereignty and independence. The revelation of European involvement in the raids provokes intense debate within the royal court about the appropriate response. Some advisors argue for diplomatic protest and negotiation, while others advocate for direct action against the foreign traders supporting the raiders. The decision will have far-reaching consequences for Dahome's relationships with European powers and its position in regional politics. King Gyezo ultimately decides on a two-pronged approach that combines military action against the raiders with diplomatic pressure on the European powers' backing. The military campaign will demonstrate Dahome's strength and resolve, while the diplomatic initiative seeks to address the root causes of the conflict. This strategy requires careful coordination between military and diplomatic elements to achieve maximum effectiveness. The main assault phase of the campaign begins with simultaneous attacks on multiple raider camps designed to prevent communication between enemy groups. The Agoji spearhead these attacks, using their superior training and equipment to overwhelm defenders before they can mount effective resistance. The element of surprise proves decisive in the initial engagements. Naui participates in one of these assault operations, applying the combat skills she has developed through months of intensive training. The attack unfolds exactly as planned, with Agoji warriors moving through the enemy camp with deadly efficiency. Resistance collapses quickly as the raiders realize they are facing professional soldiers rather than the poorly organized local forces they expected to encounter. The aftermath of the attack provides Nawi with further insights into the realities of warfare beyond the immediate violence of combat. She observes the liberation of captives held by the raiders, witnessing firsthand the human cost of the slave trade. The gratitude of those rescued reinforces her understanding of why the Agoji fight and the importance of their mission to protect the innocent. Processing prisoners taken during the assault reveals additional information about the organization and support structure of the raiding network. Under interrogation, captured raiders confirm the extent of European involvement and provide details about supply routes, communication methods, and planned future operations. This intelligence proves invaluable for planning subsequent phases of the campaign. The success of the initial attack sends shockwaves through the remaining raider organizations, disrupting their operations and forcing them to adopt more defensive postures. Some groups attempt to relocate to more secure positions, while others seek to negotiate arrangements that might allow them to continue operating without direct confrontation with Dahome's force. These responses create opportunities for further military and diplomatic initiatives. General Nananiska uses the momentum gained from the successful attacks to launch a broader offensive aimed at eliminating the raiding threat entirely. Additional Agoji units are deployed to capitalize on the disruption caused by the initial strikes, while intelligence networks are activated to track the movements of fleeing enemy forces. The campaign expands beyond simple reactive measures to become a comprehensive effort to restore security to the border regions. The diplomatic component of the strategy involves direct negotiations with European officials responsible for the slave trading operations. King Gizo's representatives present evidence of foreign involvement in the raids and demand an immediate halt to support for these illegal activities. The negotiations are tense and complex, with both sides maneuvering for advantage while trying to avoid escalation to full-scale conflict. Nawi continues to develop her skills and understanding through participation in these ongoing operations. Each mission provides new challenges and learning opportunities, gradually building the experience base necessary for advancement to senior positions within the Agoji hierarchy. Her natural abilities, combined with excellent training and growing experience, mark her as a warrior with exceptional potential for future leadership roles. The campaign against the raiders extends over several weeks, with multiple engagements testing different aspects of Agoji capabilities. Some operations require stealth and precision, while others demand direct assault and overwhelming force. The variety of missions provides comprehensive training in all aspects of military operations while achieving the strategic objective of eliminating the raiding threat. Casualties are inevitable in any military campaign, and the Agoji suffer losses despite their superior training and equipment. The death of comrades in battle provides stark reminders of the risks in the importance of maintaining the highest possible standards and the importance of maintaining the highest possible standards of preparation. Each loss is mourned by the entire sisterhood while serving as motivation for continued dedication to their mission. Nawi experiences the grief of losing fellow warriors for the first time during one particularly intense engagement with a well-armed raider group. The emotions she feels are complex and difficult to process, combining sorrow for fallen friends with pride in their sacrifice and determination to honor their memory. These feelings mark another stage in her development from trainee to seasoned warrior. The support provided by veteran warriors like Izogi proves crucial during these emotional challenges. Their experience with loss and their understanding of how to channel grief into positive action help newer warriors cope with the psychological demands of military service. The bonds forged between Agoji warriors extend far beyond simple professional relationships to become deep personal connections that sustain them through the darkest moments. As the campaign against the raiders approaches its conclusion, the strategic situation begins to shift into Homie's favor. Most of the organized raiding groups have been eliminated or dispersed, while the diplomatic pressure on European slave traders has reduced to the ports. The border regions that were previously unsafe for travelers and isolated communities gradually return to normal patterns of trade and social interaction. The success of the anti-raiding campaign enhances the reputation of both the Agoji and the kingdom they serve, Word of their military effectiveness spreads throughout West Africa, deterring potential enemies while encouraging allies to seek closer relationships with the. This enhanced international standing provides opportunities for expanded trade and diplomatic influence that benefit the entire kingdom. King Gizo formally recognizes the achievements of the Agoji in a ceremony that honors both their military success and their dedication to protecting the kingdom's people. Individual warriors receive recognition for exceptional performance, while the unit as a whole is praised for maintaining the highest standards of professionalism. The ceremony serves both to reward past achievements and to inspire continued excellence in future operations. Nawi receives specific recognition for her performance during the campaign, marking her transition from trainee to full warrior status within the Agoji. The recognition comes with increased responsibilities and expectations, as well as opportunities for advancement to positions of greater authority and influence. She accepts these new challenges with the same determination that has characterized her training and early service. The completion of the anti-raiding campaign provides an opportunity for reflection and assessment of lessons learned during the operations. Military leaders analyze tactical successes and failures, while diplomatic officials evaluate the effectiveness of their negotiations with foreign powers. These reviews inform planning for future operations and help refine strategies for dealing with similar treatment. General Naniska conducts comprehensive evaluations of all warriors who participated in the campaign, identifying strengths to be reinforced and weaknesses to be addressed through additional training. Her assessment of Nawi emphasizes her rapid development and growing leadership potential, while noting areas where continued growth and experience are needed. The general's guidance helps chart a course for Nawi's future advancement within the Agoji hierarchy. The period following the campaign allows for recovery and preparation for future challenges. Training resumes with renewed focus on lessons learned from recent operations, while intelligence networks continue monitoring for signs of new threats to the kingdom's security. The Agoji maintain their readiness while adapting their capabilities to address evolving challenges in an increasingly complex regional environment. New recruits join the training program, drawn by the enhanced reputation of the Agoji and their demonstrated effectiveness in recent operations. Nawi finds herself in the position of mentoring these newcomers, sharing her knowledge and experience while continuing her own development under the guidance of more senior warriors. This dual role of student and teacher helps reinforce her own learning while developing the leadership skills necessary for future advancement. The experience of training others provides Nawi with insights into the challenges faced by General Naniska and other senior leaders in developing effective warriors from raw recruits. She begins to appreciate the patience, skill, and dedication required to transform enthusiastic but inexperienced volunteers into disciplined and effective members of the Agoji. Political developments in the broader region create new challenges and opportunities for Dahomey and its military forces. Neighboring kingdoms seek alliances or attempt to exploit perceived weaknesses, while European powers continue their efforts to expand their influence through trade agreements and political pressure. The Agoji must be prepared to respond to various contingencies while maintaining their primary mission of protecting the kingdom and its people. Intelligence reports indicate that some of the European slave traders defeated in the recent campaign are reorganizing and seeking new approaches to continue their operations. Rather than supporting local raiders, they appear to be developing more direct methods that could pose even greater threats to Dahomey's independence and security. These developments require careful monitoring and preparation for potentially more serious confrontation. The growing European presence along the West African coast creates pressure for technological and tactical adaptation within Dahomey's military forces. Traditional weapons and methods, while still effective, may need to be supplemented with new capabilities to address evolving threats. The challenge lies in adopting useful innovations while maintaining the cultural and spiritual foundations that give the Agoji their strength and identity. King Gizo convenes additional strategic planning sessions to address these emerging challenges, bringing together military leaders, intelligence specialists, and diplomatic advisors to develop comprehensive response strategies. The discussions focus on both immediate tactical concerns and longer-term strategic issues that will shape Dahomey's future security environment. The complexity of these challenges. General Niniska participates actively in these planning sessions, advocating for continued emphasis on military strength as the foundation of the kingdom's security. Her experience with European tactics and capabilities informs her recommendations for adapting Agoji training and equipment to address new threats. She argues that maintaining military superiority is essential for preserving Dahome's independence in an increasingly dangerous regional environment. The strategic discussions also address internal challenges facing the kingdom, including resource allocation, population management, and economic development. Military security cannot be separated from these broader issues, as the kingdom's ability to maintain effective forces depends on a strong economic base and popular support. The Agoji must be prepared to address internal as well as external threats to maintain stability. Training programs are modified to incorporate lessons learned from recent operations and to address emerging threats identified through intelligence analysis. New techniques are developed and tested, while traditional methods are refined to improve their effectiveness against evolving enemy capabilities. The goal is to maintain the Agoji's competitive advantage. Nawi participates in these training innovations as both student and test subject, helping to evaluate new techniques and provide feedback on their effectiveness. Her combination of recent combat experience and continued development makes her valuable for assessing the practical applications of theoretical improvements. Her insights contribute to the refinement of training methods that will be used to prepare future generations of Agoji warriors. The development of new training methods requires careful balance between innovation and tradition. The Agoji draw their strength not just from physical techniques but from cultural and spiritual foundations that connect them to their ancestors and their mission. Any changes must enhance these foundations rather than undermining them, requiring thoughtful consideration of how innovations fit within existing frameworks. Spiritual and cultural education continues to play a central role in Agoji training, even as tactical methods evolve to address new challenges. Warriors must understand not just how to fight, but why they fight, drawing strength from their connection to the kingdom's history and values. This spiritual dimension distinguishes the Agoji from simple mercenaries and gives them the resilience necessary to face any challenge. Nawi's deepening understanding of these spiritual aspects of her service enhances her effectiveness as both warrior and potential leader. She learns to draw strength from the traditions and values that have sustained the Agoji through generations of challenges, while applying this foundation to contemporary problems and opportunities. This integration of traditional wisdom with practical innovation marks her as a warrior, capable of leading and evolving securely. The bonds between Agoji warriors continue to strengthen through shared experiences and mutual support during challenging times. These relationships provide emotional and practical support that enhances individual effectiveness while building unit cohesion, essential for successful military operations. The sisterhood that develops among the warriors becomes one of their greatest sources of strength and resilience. Regular ceremonies and observances help maintain these bonds while connecting the warriors to their culture. These events serve multiple purposes, providing opportunities for rest and reflection while reinforcing the values and traditions that guide their service. The ceremonies also help integrate new warriors into the established community and strengthen their commitment to the Agoji mission. These assignments include diplomatic escort duties, intelligence gathering, internal security operations, and ceremonial functions that demonstrate the kingdom's strength and stability. The diversity of missions requires warriors to develop broad skill sets that extend well beyond basic combat capabilities. Nawi's participation in varied assignments contributes to her development as a well-rounded warrior capable of handling complex challenges. Each mission provides opportunities to apply different aspects of her training while learning new skills and gaining experience in unfamiliar situations. This broad experience base will prove valuable if she advances to leadership positions requiring comprehensive understanding of military and political issues. The success of the Agoji in these diverse roles enhances their reputation and influence within the kingdom's power structure. Military leaders, court officials, and even the king himself increasingly rely on their assessments and recommendations when making important decisions. This growing influence brings additional responsibilities and opportunities while requiring careful navigation of complex political relationships. General Naniska uses this enhanced influence to advocate for policies and resource allocations that strengthen Dahome's military capabilities and strategic position. Her voice carries weight in policy discussions because of the proven effectiveness of the forces under her command and her demonstrated understanding of regional security issues. This influence allows her to shape not just military strategy, but broader policy decisions that affect the kingdom's future. The relationship between military and civilian leadership in Dahomey remains complex and sometimes challenging, as different perspectives on policy and strategy. Military leaders focus on security concerns and the need for strength to deter enemies, while civilian advisors may prioritize economic development and diplomatic accommodation. Balancing these competing priorities requires wisdom and political skill from all involved. King Gizo manages these competing perspectives by maintaining open dialogue between different factions within his government, while reserving final decision-making authority. His leadership style emphasizes consensus building when possible, while ensuring that ultimate responsibility for difficult decisions rests with the throne. This approach helps maintain unity within the leadership while enabling decisive action when circumstances require it. The ongoing evolution of regional politics creates new opportunities and challenges that require constant adaptation of strategies and tactics. Alliances shift, new threats emerge, and economic conditions change in ways that affect everything from resource availability to population movements. The Agoji must remain flexible and responsive while maintaining their core mission of protecting the kingdom and its people. Intelligence gathering becomes increasingly important as the strategic environment grows more complex and unpredictable. The Agoji develop enhanced capabilities for collecting and analyzing information about potential threats, enemy capabilities, and political developments that could affect Dahome's security. This intelligence function requires specialized training and skills that complement traditional warrior capabilities. Nawi demonstrates particular aptitude for intelligence work, combining natural observational skills with analytical thinking developed through her education and experience. Her assignments increasingly include reconnaissance and information gathering missions that require subtlety and discretion rather than direct combat. These missions provide valuable experience while contributing to the kingdom's overall security through enhanced situational awareness. The integration of intelligence capabilities with traditional military skills creates more versatile and effective warriors capable of addressing complex, multifaceted challenges. Modern conflicts increasingly require understanding of enemy motivations, capabilities, and intentions rather than simple application of force. The Agoji adapt to these requirements while maintaining their identity as elite combat forces. Training programs evolve to incorporate intelligence skills alongside traditional warrior education, creating more comprehensive preparation. Warriors learn observation techniques, analytical methods, and communication skills that enable them to contribute to intelligence operations while maintaining their primary combat roles. This enhanced training produces more versatile and valuable military assets. The success of these training innovations encourages further experimentation and development of new capabilities within the Agoji forces. Leadership recognizes that static approaches to military preparation will inevitably lead to obsolescence in a rapidly changing strategic environment. Continuous improvement and adaptation become central themes in organizational development and individual warrior education. General Naniska champions these innovations while ensuring that core values and traditions remain strong. Her leadership demonstrates that change and tradition can coexist. The example she sets influences other leaders and helps maintain organizational cohesion during periods of significant adaptation and growth. As Nawi's experience and capabilities continue to develop, she attracts attention from senior leadership as a potential candidate for advancement to positions of greater responsibility. Her combination of combat effectiveness, intelligence skills, and leadership potential makes her valuable for a variety. Recognition of her potential creates opportunities while establishing expectations for continued growth and contribution. The prospect of advancement brings both excitement and apprehension, as increased responsibility means greater accountability for the success or failure of important missions. Now we must demonstrate not just individual competence but the ability to lead and inspire others while making difficult decisions under pressure. These challenges require continued development of skills and judgment that can only come through experience and reflection. Mentorship from experienced leaders like General Naniska and Izogi continues to play a crucial role in Nawi's development as she prepares for greater responsibilities. Their guidance helps her understand the complexities of leadership, while providing emotional support during challenging periods of growth and adaptation. The relationships formed through this mentorship process become sources of strength throughout her career. The bonds between mentor and student evolve as Nawi's capabilities increase, transitioning from simple instruction to collaborative discussion of complex issues and challenges. This evolution reflects her growing maturity and competence while maintaining respect for the wisdom and experience of her teachers. The relationship demonstrates healthy development of leadership capability. Opportunities for independent command begin to emerge as senior leaders gain confidence in Nawi's abilities and judgment. Small-scale missions provide chances to demonstrate leadership skills while minimizing risks associated with inexperience. Success in these assignments builds confidence and credibility, while providing valuable experience in decision-making. Each independent command assignment brings new challenges and learning opportunities that contribute to Nawi. She must balance confidence with humility, decisiveness with consultation, and individual initiative with organizational loyalty. These balancing acts require constant attention and adjustment as circumstances change and experience accumulates. Individual growth and organizational adaptation reinforce each other, creating a dynamic environment that encourages excellence while preserving essential traditions and relationships. As regional tensions continue to escalate, the Igoji face the prospect of more significant military challenges that will test all aspects of their preparation and capabilities. The skills developed through training and recent operations may soon be needed for larger-scale conflicts that could determine the future of Dahomey and its people. The warriors prepare for these challenges while hoping that their reputation for effectiveness will deter potential enemies from testing their resolve. The story of Nawi's transformation from reluctant bride to Igoji warrior illustrates broader themes about personal growth, cultural preservation, and the challenges of maintaining independence in a changing world. Her journey reflects the experiences of many who must balance individual desires with collective responsibilities, while adapting to circumstances beyond their control. The choices she makes and the values she embraces help define not just her own future, but the character of the society she serves. The bonds formed between the women of the Igoji represent more than simple military unit cohesion. They embody a sisterhood based on shared sacrifice, mutual support, and common dedication to protecting their homeland and its people. These relationships provide strength and resilience that enable the warriors to face any challenge while maintaining their humanity in the midst of violence and conflict. General Naniska's leadership demonstrates the possibility of combining strength with wisdom, tradition with innovation, and individual excellence with collective success. Her example inspires not just the warriors under her command, but all who witness her dedication to duty and her unwavering commitment to the values that define the Igoji. Her influence extends far beyond military matters to encompass broader questions of leadership and service. The story concludes with the understanding that while individual battles may be won or lost, the struggle to maintain freedom, dignity, and culture. The Igoji represent more than a military force. They embody the spirit of resistance to oppression and the determination to preserve what is valuable in their society while adapting to the demands of a changing world. The legacy of warriors like Nawi Izogi and General Naniska lives on in the inspiration they provide to future generations facing their own challenge. Their example demonstrates that courage, dedication, and unity can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles while preserving the values and relationships that give life, meaning, and purpose. The story of the Agoge continues beyond the events depicted, carried forward by those who understand that freedom and dignity must be earned and defended by each generation. The Kingdom of Dahomey itself represents a model of what African societies could achieve when allowed to develop according to their own values and priorities, rather than external pressures and interventions. The strength and effectiveness of the Agoge reflect broader cultural achievements in military organization, political development, and social structure that enabled complex societies to flourish in West Africa before and during the colonial. The challenges faced by Dahomey and the Agoge mirror those confronted by many African societies during this historical period, as traditional ways of life came under pressure from European economic and political expansion. The responses chosen by different societies varied, but the example of Dahomey demonstrates that resistance and adaptation could coexist when guided by strong leadership and clear values. The portrayal of the Agoge in this narrative emphasizes their humanity as well as their military prowess, showing them as complex individuals with emotions, relationships, and personal struggles, rather than simply as warriors defined only by their combat capabilities. This perspective helps contemporary audiences understand these historical figures as real people. The attention paid to the spiritual and cultural dimensions of Agoge service reflects the importance of these elements in understanding how the warriors maintained their effectiveness and identity over time. Military capability alone could not have sustained their success. It required integration with broader cultural values and spiritual beliefs that gave meaning and purpose to their sacrifices and achievements. The story's emphasis on mentorship and the transmission of knowledge between generations highlights the importance of continuity in maintaining organizational effectiveness and cultural identity. The relationships between experienced warriors and newcomers ensure that valuable lessons are preserved and adapted to new circumstances, rather than being lost when individual leaders are no longer available. The complex political environment in which the Agoge operated demonstrates the sophisticated understanding of international relations and strategic thinking that characterized many African societies during this period. The decisions made by King Gezo and his advisors reflect careful consideration of multiple factors and competing interests, rather than simple reactions to immediate pressures or opportunities. The portrayal of European involvement in regional conflicts emphasizes the disruptive impact of external interference in African political and economic systems. The slave trade and related activities created instability and conflict that African societies had to address, while also dealing with their own internal challenges and development needs. The story's conclusion leaves many questions unresolved, reflecting the reality that historical processes continue beyond individual events or personal stories. The challenges faced by Dahomey and the Agoge were part of larger historical trends that would continue to shape African development for centuries to come. The emphasis on character development and personal relationships throughout the narrative demonstrates that even in military contexts, human connections and individual growth remain central to understanding historical events and their significance. The transformation of Nawi from reluctant bride to respected warrior illustrates broader themes about personal agency and social change that resonate across different historical periods and cultural contexts. The detailed attention to training methods and military techniques provides insight into the sophisticated approaches to warfare development that characterize many African societies. The Agoge were not simply fierce fighters, but disciplined professionals whose effectiveness resulted from. The story's portrayal of gender roles and women's participation in military and political affairs challenges stereotypical assumptions about African societies and historical gender relations. The Agoge represent an alternative model of women's roles that emphasizes strength, independence, and public service rather than restricting women to domestic or subordinate positions. The integration of diplomatic and military strategies throughout the narrative reflects the sophisticated understanding of statecraft that characterized Dahomey's leadership. The military force and diplomatic negotiation were used as complementing negotiation, were used as coordination and strategic thinking that went well beyond simple military tactics. The attention paid to economic factors and resource management. The ability to support and equip elite forces like the Agoji required economic productivity and political organization that extended far beyond military matters alone. The story's emphasis on intelligence gathering and strategic assessment demonstrates the importance of information and analysis in effective military and political decision-making. The portrayal of cultural preservation alongside military adaptation illustrates the challenge of maintaining identity while responding to external pressures and opportunities. The Agoji succeeded in evolving their capabilities while preserving the spiritual and cultural foundations that gave them strength and purpose. The narrative's conclusion emphasizes that the story of the Agoji represents more than historical curiosity. It provides inspiration and lessons relevant to contemporary challenges facing societies seeking to maintain their independence and values while adapting to changing global circumstances. The example of these remarkable women continues to resonate because their struggles and achievements reflect universal themes about courage, dedication. The aftermath of the successful campaign against the slave raiders brings a period of relative calm to Dahomey, but this tranquility proves deceptive as new challenges emerge from unexpected directions. Intelligence reports filtering in from coastal regions indicate that European powers are consolidating their positions along the Atlantic shore, establishing fortified trading posts that serve dual purposes as commercial. These developments represent a fundamental shift in the regional balance of power that will require careful consideration and strategic response from Dahomey's leadership. General Nanesca convenes a series of meetings with her senior commanders to assess these evolving threats and develop appropriate countermeasures. The discussions reveal the complexity of the situation facing the kingdom, as traditional military solutions may prove inadequate against enemies who possess superior firepower and technological advantages. The foreigners possess weapons that can kill at distances far exceeding traditional spears and arrows, along with defensive fortifications that render conventional assault tactics obsolete. These technological disparities create strategic problems that cannot be solved through courage and determination alone, requiring innovative approaches that leverage Dahomey's strengths while minimizing exposure to enemy advantages. Nawi participates in these strategic discussions as her reputation and experience have earned her a voice in high-level planning sessions. Her perspective, shaped by recent combat experience and natural analytical abilities, contributes valuable insights about potential tactical approaches and operational considerations. The confidence placed in her judgment by senior leaders reflects her rapid development from trainee to respected warrior and emerging strategist. The debates within Dahomey's military leadership reveal philosophical differences about how to address the European threat. Some commanders advocate for direct confrontation to demonstrate the kingdom's strength and resolve, while others prefer diplomatic engagement combined with defensive preparations designed to discourage aggression. These competing approaches reflect different assessments of relative capabilities and strategic objectives that must be reconciled for care. King Gezo ultimately decides on a multifaceted approach that combines military preparation with diplomatic initiatives, while maintaining strategic flexibility to adapt to changing circumstances. This strategy requires coordination between different elements of the kingdom's government and military forces, creating complex challenges for implementation and execution. The diplomatic component of the strategy involves direct engagement with European officials to establish clear boundaries and expectations for future interactions. Dahomey's representatives seek to negotiate agreements that preserve the kingdom's independence while acknowledging the realities of European technological and economic power. These negotiations require sophisticated understanding of international relations and careful balance between firmness and preparation for potential military conflict proceeds simultaneously with diplomatic efforts, as the kingdom's leaders recognize that negotiations succeed only when backed by credible deterrent capabilities. The Agoji intensify their training while adapting their techniques to address the specific challenges posed by European weapons and tactics. This adaptation process requires extensive experimentation and innovation while maintaining the cultural New training protocols are developed to prepare Agoji warriors for combat against enemies equipped with firearms and supported by fortified positions. These protocols emphasize mobility, stealth, and tactical flexibility rather than the direct assault methods that proved effective against traditional enemies. Warriors must learn to use terrain and weather conditions to minimize their exposure to enemy firepower while maximizing opportunities to engage on fire. The development of counter-firearm tactics requires careful study of European military methods and systematic experimentation with different approaches to close-quarters combat. Agoji warriors practice techniques for approaching defended positions while avoiding detection, methods for disrupting enemy formations before they can bring their superior firepower to bear, and strategies for exploiting the limitations of early firearms. Nawi demonstrates particular aptitude for these new tactical approaches, her agility and quick thinking making her effective at the kind of fluid, adaptive combat required when facing technologically superior enemies. Her success in training exercises marks her as a potential leader for operations against European forces, should such conflicts become necessary. The psychological dimensions of preparing for combat against European forces receive equal attention with tactical and technical considerations. Warriors must overcome the intimidation factor associated with unfamiliar weapons while maintaining confidence in their own abilities and the effectiveness of their training. This mental preparation requires understanding both the capabilities and limitations of European military technology. Spiritual preparation for these potential conflicts involves ceremonies and rituals designed to strengthen the warrior's connection to their ancestors and their cultural heritage. These observances help maintain morale and unit cohesion while reinforcing the values and beliefs that motivate the Agoji to fight for their homeland. The spiritual dimension of warrior preparation becomes even more important when facing enemies whose motivations and cultural backgrounds differ fundamentally from traditional. Intelligence gathering operations expand to provide more detailed information about European military capabilities, defensive positions, and strategic intentions. Agoji scouts infiltrate coastal regions to observe enemy activities firsthand, gathering intelligence that informs both tactical planning and strategic decision-making. These reconnaissance missions require extraordinary skill and courage. The information collected through these intelligence operations reveals that European positions are not as impregnable as initially believed. While their technological advantages are real and significant, their forces are relatively small and depend on supply lines that could be vulnerable to disruption. This intelligence suggests potential strategies for addressing the European threat that do not require direct assault against fortified positions. Analysis of European tactical methods indicates that their military effectiveness depends heavily on maintaining formation discipline and coordinated firepower. Disrupting these formations through unconventional attacks might neutralize much of their technological advantage, while allowing Agoji warriors to engage on more favorable terms. This insight shapes the development of new tactical approaches, specifically designed to exploit European weaknesses. The logistical requirements for supporting extended military operations against European forces create additional challenges that must be addressed through careful planning and resource allocation. Unlike traditional conflicts against neighboring African kingdoms, warfare against European forces might require sustained operations far from Dahome's traditional supply bases. This logistical complexity demands new approaches to military organization and support. Preparations for potential conflict include stockpiling weapons, ammunition, and supplies in forward positions that could support extended operations in coastal regions. These preparations must be conducted carefully to avoid provoking premature confrontation, while ensuring that Dahome's forces will be adequately supplied if conflict becomes unavoidable. The balance between preparation training exercises become increasingly sophisticated as the Agoji prepare for the complex operational environment they might face in conflicts with European forces. Mock battles simulate conditions where traditional tactics must be adapted to address specific technological and tactical challenges posed by foreign enemies. These exercises reveal strengths and weaknesses in current preparations while identifying areas requiring additional development. Nawi's performance in these advanced training exercises reinforces her reputation as an innovative tactical thinker capable of adapting quickly to changing circumstances. Her ability to devise creative solutions to complex problems makes her valuable for planning operations that require flexibility and unconventional approaches. This recognition leads to her inclusion in increasingly sensitive planning discussions and operationalism. The relationship between individual warrior development and organizational adaptation becomes increasingly important as the Agoji face challenges that require both personal excellence and collective innovation. Each warrior must master new skills and techniques while contributing to the development of unit capabilities that exceed the sum of individual contributions. This dual focus creates intensive training requirements. Medical training receives enhanced emphasis as the prospect of casualties from firearms and other unfamiliar weapons creates new challenges for battlefield treatment and recovery. Agoji warriors must learn to treat wounds different from those typically inflicted by traditional weapons, while also understanding how to operate effectively when medical support might be limited or unavailable for extended periods. The psychological impact of facing potentially lethal weapons that kill at a distance requires special attention in warrior preparation. Training must address not only tactical responses to firearms, but also the mental discipline necessary to maintain effectiveness when under fire from weapons that can kill before traditional combat engagement occurs. This psychological preparation becomes crucial for maintaining unit cohesion and fighting effectiveness. Communication systems are refined to support the complex coordination required for operations against technologically advanced enemies. Traditional methods of battlefield communication may prove inadequate when facing enemies whose capabilities disrupt normal command and control procedures. New approaches to maintaining unit coordination must be developed and tested through realistic training scenarios. The integration of intelligence information into tactical planning becomes increasingly sophisticated as operations against European forces require detailed understanding of enemy capabilities, positions, and likely responses to different approaches. This integration requires analytical skills that complement traditional warrior training while enabling more effective operational planning and execution. As preparations continue, reports arrive of increased European activity in route. Training posts are being fortified and expanded, while the number of armed personnel at these facilities increases steadily. These developments suggest that European powers are preparing for potential conflict even as they engage in diplomatic discussions about peaceful coexistence and mutual benefit. The intelligence about European military preparations creates urgency in Dahome's own defensive efforts, while raising questions about the King Gizo and his advisors must determine whether European actions represent reasonable precautions or aggressive preparations for expansion at Dahome's expense. This assessment will influence decisions about the kingdom's response to evolving threats. General Niniska advocates for accelerated military preparations based on her assessment that European actions indicate hostile intentions despite diplomatic assurances to the contrary. Her recommendations include forward deployment of Agoji units to positions where they could respond quickly to aggressive moves, while gathering intelligence about enemy capabilities and intentions. These recommendations reflect her conviction that strength provides the best foundation for successful diplomacy. The debate over appropriate responses to European military preparations reveals deeper philosophical differences within Dahome's leadership about the kingdom's relationship with. Some advisors believe that accommodation and cooperation offer the best path to prosperity and security, while others argue that only strength and independence can preserve the kingdom's essential character and values. King Gizo's decision-making process involves careful consideration of all perspectives, while maintaining focus on the kingdom's long-term interests and security. His leadership style emphasizes building consensus when possible, while ensuring that decisive action can be taken when circumstances require immediate response. This approach helps maintain unity within the leadership while enabling effective governance during challenging periods. The military preparations continue despite diplomatic uncertainties, as prudent planning requires readiness for various contingencies regardless of current political discussions. This preparation ensures that military options remain available while diplomatic efforts continue. Advanced scouting missions provide increasingly detailed intelligence about European positions and activities, revealing patterns that suggest systematic preparation for potential expansion beyond current coastal enclaves. These observations support General Naniska's assessment that military conflict may be inevitable despite ongoing diplomatic discussions of a peaceful coexistence. The intelligence gathered through these reconnaissance operations enables more sophisticated planning for potential military responses to European aggression. Detailed knowledge of enemy positions, capabilities, and likely responses allows for development of specific tactical plans that maximize Dahome's advantages while minimizing exposure to enemy strengths. This planning process represents a significant evolution in military sophistication and strategic. Nawi's contributions to intelligence analysis and tactical planning earn her recognition as an emerging leader capable of handling complex operational challenges. Her combination of field experience, analytical ability, and innovative thinking makes her valuable for assignments requiring judgment and initiative. This recognition creates opportunities for advancement while establishing expectations for continued development and contribution. The prospect of promotion to senior leadership positions brings both excitement and responsibility as Nawi contemplates the challenges of commanding other warriors in potentially dangerous operations. Her preparation for these responsibilities includes intensive study of leadership principles and tactical doctrine, while continuing to develop her own skills and experience through participation in various assignments and training exercises. Mentorship relationships with experienced leaders like General Naniska become increasingly important as Nawi prepares for greater responsibilities. These relationships provide guidance and support while enabling the transfer of knowledge and wisdom that cannot be acquired through formal training alone. The personal connections formed through mentorship create networks of support that sustain leaders throughout their careers. The bonds between Agoji warriors continue to strengthen as they face increasingly complex challenges that require trust, cooperation, and mutual support. These relationships extend beyond simple professional associations to become deep personal connections that provide emotional and practical support during difficult periods. The sisterhood that develops among the warriors becomes one of their greatest sources of strength and rest. Ceremonial observances and spiritual practices maintain their importance even as tactical and technical aspects of training evolve to address new challenges. These activities help preserve cultural identity and values while providing emotional and spiritual support that enables warriors to maintain their effectiveness despite the stresses and uncertainties of military service. The development of new tactical approaches requires extensive testing and refinement to ensure effectiveness under actual combat conditions. Training exercises become increasingly realistic and challenging as the Agoji prepare for the complex operational environment they might face in conflicts with European forces. These exercises reveal both the potential and limitations of various approaches, while building equipment modifications and innovations accompany tactical developments as the Agoji adapt their weapons and equipment to address specific challenges posed by European military technology. Traditional weapons are refined and supplemented with new designs that provide enhanced capability against fortified positions and enemies equipped with firearms. These innovations demonstrate the creative adaptation that characterizes effective military organizations. The logistical support systems required for extended operations against European forces undergoes significant development to ensure that forward-deployed units can maintain their effectiveness over extended periods. Supply lines, communication networks, and medical support capabilities are enhanced to support the complex operational requirements that might arise in conflicts with technologically advanced enemies. Training in conventional warfare techniques receives increased emphasis as conventional approaches may prove inadequate against enemies with superior firepower and defensive positions. Agoji warriors learn guerrilla tactics, sabotage methods, and psychological warfare techniques that could prove effective against European forces. These skills complement traditional warrior training while providing additional options for addressing The psychological warfare component of training includes methods for disrupting enemy morale and cohesion while maintaining the fighting spirit and effectiveness of Dahomey's own forces. Understanding the cultural and psychological characteristics of European enemies enables more effective application of tactics designed to exploit their weaknesses and limitations. This knowledge becomes crucial for achieving success against technologically superior opponents. Intelligence operations expand to include economic and political analysis of European activities and intentions. Understanding the broader context of European expansion helps inform strategic planning while providing insights into potential diplomatic and economic responses to foreign pressure. The analysis of European economic interests reveals potential vulnerabilities that could be exploited through strategic disruption of trade routes and commercial activities. These insights suggest possible strategies for imposing costs on European expansion without requiring direct military confrontation against fortified positions. Economic warfare might provide effective alternatives to conventional military approaches. Diplomatic initiatives continue alongside military preparations as Dahomey's leadership seeks to avoid conflict while maintaining the kingdom's independence and security. These diplomatic efforts require sophisticated understanding of European political systems and decision-making processes while demonstrating Dahomey's strength and resolve. The success of diplomacy often depends on credible military capabilities. The complexity of managing simultaneous diplomatic and military initiatives requires careful coordination to ensure that actions in one area support rather than undermine efforts in the other. King Gizo's leadership provides the integration and direction necessary to maintain coherent policy while adapting to changing circumstances and opportunities. This coordination becomes increasingly important as the situation evolves and varies. Regional political developments complicate Dahomey's strategic situation as neighboring kingdoms respond to European expansion in different ways. Some rulers seek accommodation and alliance with European powers, while others prepare for resistance and conflict. These varying responses create additional challenges and opportunities that must be factored into Dahomey's own strategic planning and decision-making. The potential for regional conflict involving multiple African kingdoms and European forces creates complex scenarios that require sophisticated strategic analysis and flexible military planning. Dahomey's forces must be prepared to operate in environments where alliances and enemies might shift rapidly based on evolving political and military circumstances. This complexity demands high levels of tactical and strategic sophistication. Nawi's participation in strategic planning discussions provides valuable experience in the complex analysis required for effective leadership in challenging operational environments. Her contributions to these discussions demonstrate growing maturity and understanding of the broader context within which military operations must be planned and executed. The training and preparation activities continue with increased intensity as intelligence reports suggest that the period of relative stability may be ending. European military preparations appear to be accelerating while diplomatic discussions yield limited concrete results. These developments suggest that conflict may become unavoidable despite efforts to maintain peace through negotiation and accommodation. Advanced tactical exercise. These exercises simulate realistic scenarios where traditional approaches must be adapted to address specific challenges posed by European weapons and tactics. The lessons learned through these exercises inform refinements to training and operational planning. The integration of intelligence, logistics, and tactical capabilities receives intensive attention as the Agoji prepare for operations that might require sustained effectiveness over extended periods in challenging environments. This integration requires coordination between different specialties and capabilities, while maintaining the flexibility necessary to adapt to changing circumstances and unexpected developments. Medical and evacuation procedures are refined to address the specific challenges of treating casualties from firearms and other unfamiliar weapons. These procedures must be effective under field conditions. Communication systems undergo additional refinement to ensure reliable coordination during complex operations involving multiple units and objectives. These systems must function effectively under combat conditions while providing the flexibility necessary to adapt to changing tactical situations. The reliability of communications often determines the success or failure of complex military operations. The spiritual and psychological preparation of warriors for potentially intense combat against unfamiliar enemies receives continued attention through ceremonies and training designed to strengthen mental resilience and unit cohesion. These tests reveal strengths and weaknesses in current preparations while identifying areas requiring additional development or modification. The ability to maintain adequate supplies often determines the outcome of extended military operations. Intelligence gathering operations continue to provide updated information about European capabilities, intentions, and activities. This intelligence informs both strategic planning and tactical preparation while enabling war. The quality and timeliness of intelligence often proves decisive in complex operational environments. The analysis of collected intelligence reveals patterns in European behavior that suggest specific strategic objectives and operational approaches. Understanding these patterns enables more effective planning of countermeasures while providing insights into potential diplomatic and military responses. This analytical capability is increasingly important as the strategic situation evolves. Training in deception and misdirection techniques provides additional capabilities for operations against enemies who possess technological advantages but may be vulnerable to unconventional approaches. These techniques can multiply the effectiveness of limited forces while creating opportunities to achieve strategic objectives without direct confrontation. The coordination between different elements of Dahomey's military and political leadership becomes increasingly important as the kingdom faces complex challenges requiring integrated responses. This coordination ensures that diplomatic, military, and economic initiatives support rather than conflict with each other while maintaining strategic coherence and effectiveness. Regional intelligence networks provide information about This information helps inform Dahomey's own strategic planning while identifying potential opportunities for cooperation or alliance with other African powers facing similar challenges. Understanding regional dynamics becomes crucial for effective strategic planning. The development of contingency plans for various scenarios enables rapid response to changing circumstances while maintaining strategic flexibility. These plans address different possible combinations of diplomacy. Effective contingency planning often determines success or failure in complex strategic environments. Advanced training exercises test the Agogi's ability to operate effectively under various challenging conditions while maintaining unit cohesion and tactical effectiveness. These exercises simulate realistic scenarios that warriors might face in actual operations while identifying areas requiring additional preparation or modification of current. The psychological aspects of leadership under stress receive intensive attention as potential commanders prepare for responsibilities that might involve life and death decisions affecting large numbers of people. This preparation includes understanding of decision-making under pressure, crisis management, and the psychological factors that influence military effectiveness during challenging operations. Nawi's development as a leader accelerates as she demonstrates competence. Her combination of tactical skill, strategic understanding, and leadership ability marks her as a candidate for senior positions within the Agogi hierarchy. This recognition creates opportunities while establishing expectations for continued growth and contribution. The bonds between warriors continue to strengthen through shared training and preparation for potentially dangerous missions. These relationships provide emotional and practical support. The sisterhood among Agogi warriors becomes one of their greatest sources of strength. Ceremonial activities maintain their importance in preserving cultural identity and spiritual strength while adapting to address the specific challenges facing the kingdom. These observances help maintain morale and unit cohesion while reinforcing the values and beliefs that motivate warriors to serve their homeland. The integration of traditional preparations. The strategic situation continues to evolve as European activities intensify and regional political dynamics shift in response to external pressures. Dahomey's leadership must navigate these changes while maintaining the kingdom's independence and security through whatever combination of diplomatic, military, and economic measures proves most effective. Understanding these developments becomes crucial for effective strategic planning, while informing the adaptation of Dahome's own military capabilities and operational approaches. The complexity of the challenges facing Dahomey requires sophisticated analysis and coordinated response, involving all elements of the kingdom's leadership and military forces. Success will depend on effective integration of diplomatic, military, and economic initiatives, while training and preparation activities continue with increased focus on the specific capabilities needed to address evolving threats and opportunities. The Agoji adapt their methods and approaches while maintaining the core values and traditions that define their identity and effectiveness. This balance between adaptation and preservation becomes crucial for long-term success. The development of new tactical and strategic capabilities proceeds alongside diplomatic efforts to resolve tensions through negotiation. This dual approach maintains options while demonstrating both strength and willingness to seek peaceful solutions to complex problems. The effectiveness of this strategy will depend on careful coordination and timing of various initiatives. Regional developments create additional complexity as neighboring kingdoms pursue different strategies for dealing with European expansion. The analysis of these regional developments provides insights into potential alliances and conflicts that could affect Dahomey's security and strategic position. Understanding regional dynamics becomes increasingly important for effective planning, while identifying opportunities for cooperation or areas requiring additional defensive preparation. Advanced intelligence, operation about European military capabilities, political intentions, and economic interests. This intelligence enables more effective planning while informing diplomatic initiatives designed to avoid conflict through negotiation and accommodation. The integration of intelligence analysis with strategic planning becomes increasingly sophisticated as Dahomey's leadership develops more comprehensive understanding of the complex factors influencing regional security. Its analytical capability enables more effective responses to evolve. Military preparations continue alongside diplomatic initiatives as prudent planning requires readiness for various contingencies, regardless of current political discussions. The Agoji maintain their training and adaptation while contributing to intelligence gathering and strategic analysis that informs overall policy development. The prospect of significant military operations creates urgency in training and preparation while emphasizing the importance of maintaining unit cohesion. Warriors must be prepared for challenges that exceed anything they have previously encountered while maintaining the discipline and dedication that define their service. Nawi's role in these preparations reflects her growing importance within the Agoji hierarchy as her skills and experience make her valuable for increasingly complex and responsible assignments. Her development demonstrates the potential for rapid advancement based on competence and dedication. While the relationships between warriors continue to provide crucial support during intensive preparation for potentially dangerous operations. These bonds enable effective teamwork while providing emotional resilience that helps maintain individual and unit effectiveness despite stress and uncertainty about future challenges. Spiritual preparation receives continued emphasis as warriors prepare for confrontations that will test their courage, skill, and dedication to their homeland and pedipal. These preparations help maintain morale and confidence while reinforcing the cultural and spiritual foundations that provide strength during difficult times. The strategic environment continues to evolve as various political, military, and economic factors interact in complex ways that influence Dahomey's security and strategic options. Understanding these interactions becomes crucial for effective planning while enabling more sophisticated responses to developing challenges and training exercises become increasingly realistic and challenging as the Agoji prepare for operational environments that may differ significantly from traditional combat conditions. These exercises test adaptation and innovation while building confidence in new tactics and techniques developed to address specific challenges posed by European military capabilities. The development of logistical capabilities continues as extended operations against technological advance. These capabilities must be effective under challenging conditions while providing the flexibility necessary to adapt to changing operational demands. Communication systems undergo further refinement to ensure reliable coordination during complex operations involving multiple objectives, and changing tactical situations. Effective communications often determine success or failure in sophisticated military operations, while the analysis of European tactical methods provides insights into potential vulnerabilities that could be exploited through innovative approaches specifically designed to counter their technological advantages. Understanding enemy strengths and weaknesses enables more effective tactical planning while informing the development of countermeasures and alternative approaches. Medical capabilities receive enhanced development as casualties from unfamiliar weapons may require treatment. These capabilities must be reliable under field conditions while providing the effectiveness necessary to maintain unit strength during extended operations. Intelligence gathering and analysis capabilities continue to expand as comprehensive understanding of enemy intentions, capabilities, and activities becomes increasingly important for effective strategic and tactical planning. Quality intelligence often provides decisive advantages in combat. The coordination between diplomatic and military initiatives requires careful management to ensure that actions in different areas support rather than undermine overall strategic objectives. This coordination becomes increasingly important as various options are evaluated and implemented in response to evolving circumstances. Regional political developments create additional complexity that must be factored into strategic planning while identifying potential opportunities. Understanding regional dynamics enables more effective strategic planning while informing diplomatic and military initiatives. The training and development of individual warriors continues alongside organizational adaptation as both personal excellence and collective capability become necessary for addressing complex challenges. This dual focus ensures that the Agoji maintain their effectiveness while adapting to evolving operational requirements. Nawi's continued development reflects the broader evolution of the Agoji as they prepare for challenges that may require unprecedented levels of skill, courage, and innovation. Her personal growth parallels organizational adaptation while demonstrating the potential for individual achievement within the collective framework of military service. The story of preparation and adaptation continues as Dahomey faces an uncertain future that will test all aspects of the kingdom's strength, wisdom, and resilience. The Agoji stand ready to meet these challenges while maintaining their commitment to protecting their homeland and preserving the values that define their identity and purpose.